What's going on, everyone, and welcome into Plizont's podcast, filled to the brim with glitchy analysis and freezing cold takes, so cold that they're boiling hot. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Hungry Howie's Baton Rouge. Guys, check out their website. They've got takeout deals and delivery deals. Right now, they've got a large one-topping pizza for just $7.99. Thanks so much to Hungry Howie's Baton Rouge. Today, we've got awesome specials, jam-packed, NBA, college basketball, college football, and the NFL. Stay tuned for the beginning special and the end special. First up, we're doing NBA awards. So like the NFL awards that we did a couple months ago, the NBA season is coming to an end. We are going to look at each individual award and talk about who is going to win them and who should win them according to me, your boy, Plizont. So let's go ahead and get into it. First up, we've got Coach of the Year. Joe Mazzulla is probably going to win it for the Boston Celtics, but I think that Mike Brown for the Sacramento Kings should win it. Okay? Now, this Boston Celtics team went to the finals last year. Their head coach from last year is no longer with the team. Joe Mazzulla took over, first-time head coach. The Celtics currently, I think, are second in the East, and he's done a really good job. No discredit to him, but Mike Brown and the Sacramento Kings are an absolute lock for Coach of the Year to me. I cannot believe what he's done with this team. They went from being out of the play-in. We're not talking the playoffs. They weren't in the play-in. And now they're the second team in the West. They've got their first winning record since, I think, 2006. Hell of a job from Mike Brown. They've got an awesome team, and he's done a phenomenal job coaching them. Next up, we've got Most Improved Player. Now, this is a toss-up to me, but I think that Lauri Markkanen for the Utah Jazz is going to win it, but I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should win it for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, look, Lauri Markkanen came from the Bulls to the Jazz. He's a first-time All-Star this year. He has gone off the charts in terms of numbers. He's averaging, I think, close to 24 points a game, 8 rebounds. Absolutely bonkers numbers from what he has done in the Bulls' time. Now, when you look at SGA, though, he has reached superstar mode. I can't even imagine this SGA now from when he was with the Clippers like 4 or 5 years ago. He's averaging over 30 points, close to 6 assists and 5 rebounds a game, putting up LeBron James-type stats. Now, look, Lauri Markkanen, yes, he has improved a ton since his Bulls days. Is that because he's improved as a player, or is it because he's getting more minutes, more shots, more time, because the Jazz are not nearly as good as the Bulls teams that he was on? Now, the Thunder, they really haven't gotten much better from last year. They were going to get a little improvement from all the young guys this year, but they're about the same caliber team that they were last year. SGA has just taken his game to a whole nother level. That's why, in my opinion, he is the most improved player, and that's why he should win the award. But I do think that Lauri Markkanen is going to win. Next up, Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to win the award, but I think that Brook Lopez should win the award. Now, when you look at Defensive Player of the Year, it's been extremely big man dominated. Out of the last 15 winners, 12 have been power forwards or centers. But when you think about it, Brook Lopez and Jaren Jackson Jr. are about the same caliber defender. If you look at the way that they protect the rim at an elite level, and they both defend the perimeter, decently. They're not really asked to do that very often. But the big stat that stands out for me and why Brook Lopez should win the award over Jaren Jackson Jr., 17.4 shots defended per game versus 10.7 shots defended per game for Jaren Jackson Jr. Brook Lopez leads him by 7 shots per game practically. That is an astronomical difference. It has nothing to do with the fact that Brook Lopez is letting more shots up because he actually holds opponents to a lower field goal percentage from the floor per game than Jaren Jackson Jr. So to me, I think Brook Lopez is going to probably come in second as far as the Defensive Player of the Year, but he should probably win this award. The Bucks are one of the best defensive teams in the league, and it's because of him. Moving on, we're going to go to Sixth Man of the Year. Malcolm Brogdon is going to win it, and now Malcolm Brogdon probably should win it. The only other player in contention, in my opinion, was Russell Westbrook. He's probably had a few too many starts on his season, and now he's probably going to be disqualified from winning this award. But I do want to give a shout out to Westbrook. He's gotten a ton of hate on the Lakers and on the Clippers, but that man is an absolute force to be reckoned with off the bench. If you take a look at his plus minus, it's really bad when he's in a starting lineup, but when he comes off the bench, it's very good. He's averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists off the bench. That's an incredible stat line for somebody who is, getting older or getting too many turnovers, etc., etc. I don't think that Westbrook deserves all the hate that he gets. I am going to give him props. He would be my sixth man of the year if not for too many starts that he's had. Moving on now, we've got Rookie of the Year, most lopsided out of all of the awards. Paolo Banchero for the Orlando Magic is going to win it. It's going to absolutely run away. There's not a single other rookie even close to contention. Right now, I think he's at minus 10,000 odds. That's an unbelievable favorite. I wouldn't even throw 80 grand on it because I'm pretty sure that would pay you $800. So, Paolo Banchero, he's averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, I think. That's a pretty damn good stat line for a rookie. We just haven't heard a lot about this because he's been stashed away in Orlando. So, I'm a big fan of his game. I just don't think that we're ever going to see it. Kind of like Grant Hill for the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic. He was an absolutely phenomenal player, just never the face of the league solely because of the fact that he was in a small market and the media doesn't like to pay a lot of attention to him. But that's all I've got to say about him. Let's go ahead and get into the most important race, MVP. Absolute neck and neck race. Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic. Giannis is like a tertiary contender, but he's really kind of taken a step back. He's missed a few too many games, in my opinion, to be in this race. But Jokic and Embiid, phenomenal race. MVP right now, to me, goes to Embiid, but Jokic is not very far behind. For forever, I've been saying that Embiid is my MVP. I'm starting to kind of change my mind. Now, look, it's because of these mind-blowing stats. Okay, let's look at what I've got here. He is first in the league. Nikola Jokic is first in the leagues in win shares, plus minus on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And he's first in the league in PER. Those are obviously not eye test stats. These are advanced statistics. But Jokic is, I think, top 15 in scoring, top 5 in assists, top 5 in rebounds. Those are things that cannot be ignored. He obviously contributes a tremendous amount to this Nuggets team. Without him, they would be in the lottery. Same with Embiid. I think Embiid just does a little bit more on the defensive end to nudge him into this MVP. He just dropped 46 points on the Warriors. Now, they did lose, but that type of play cannot be ignored. For now, Embiid is my MVP, but it's really going to come down to the last few games of this season. And that's going to do it for our awards. Let's go ahead and get into some huge NBA injury news. First up, Kevin Durant is coming back this Wednesday. Why is he coming back? Similar to LeBron James coming back on Sunday versus the Bulls. The Suns are making a push. I really thought that they were going to be in the 4th seed, locked it up. The Suns have lost, I think, 5 of their last 6 games. They're not looking good. They're not looking like the team to beat in the West. The chemistry, obviously, is not there. Kevin Durant's only played 3 games for the Suns. He's really going to have to step up his game when he comes back because the Suns are now fighting for home court in the first round. And if they don't get that, they have a sub-500 record on the road. So be on the lookout for Kevin Durant to come back versus, I think, the Kings, but I could be wrong. On Wednesday, he'll be back. Up next in injury news, we've got Paul George spraining his knee. Thank God, thank the heavens that that's all it was. If you were watching that Clippers versus Thunder game on Friday, that knee injury looked gruesome. I thought it was going to be so much worse, but it is that time of the year. I hate to say it. I don't like talking about it. It's time to write the Clippers off. Paul George is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. He's probably not going to come back 100% healthy. Kawhi, he doesn't look washed, but he does not look like the Kawhi from the Spurs and the Raptors days. What an absolute waste of talent and money on this Clippers team. It's a shame that injuries plagued the biggest what-if dynasty in NBA history. All right, I never get angry. I never get mad. I'm pretty pissed off about this one subject in college football. not even making like the big media news or anything like that. I wanted to call it out because I wanted to talk about what a pathetic organization the NCAA is. Okay, they are grasping for straws in the fall of their tremendous reign or whatever. Tony Annese, the head coach for Ferris State, a Division II team, has been suspended not for a period of time, not for a regular season game, a playoff game. Why? Because two of his players were caught smoking cigars in a non-smoking area after winning the national championship game for Division II. Don't even get me started as to why the NCAA decides to put their foot down here. This has always been the case for this organization. They never go after the big dogs. They never punish the teams that they should punish. And then they decide to tighten their grip around a Division II program who got caught smoking cigars after winning the national championship for Division II. Pathetic move. They also, we were talking about women's basketball earlier, suspended Miami women's basketball head coach for I think 3 games because a booster paid for dinner last year for the Cavender twins. An unsolicited meal, obviously against rules, yes, but deserving of a 3-game suspension, absolutely not. This angers me to the core beyond belief. I just think that the NCAA does not pay attention to the big issues. If they wanted to be a respected, well-run organization, then they would start looking at how to do things like regulate NIL and protect players. Protect players in the transfer portal. Protect high school athletes coming to college. But no, this has always been a pro-money, pro-business-like organization who does not care for its players or any of its student athletes, like starting, bench, walk-ons, etc. They don't care. It's so clear. This NCAA allegation that has now come out against Tony Annese is ridiculous. I cannot believe that I'm even having to discuss it. I hope that the new leadership of the NCAA can get it together, but I'm afraid to say the NCAA will probably no longer exist in the capacity that it does now in 10 years. On a much lighter note, let's go look at some NFL stuff. I've got some upbeat news for a team that I don't really talk about a lot, but I probably should because they're a big market team. The Dallas Cowboys. They are making the right moves this offseason. Now look, cutting Zeke, painful for the fan base, great for the organization. Frees up cap space, gives Tony Pollard the RB1 responsibility, but that's not really what I wanted to talk about here. Okay. Now they did let Dalton Schultz go. That's a negative on their net plus and minus as far as the offseason go. But they did trade for Stephon Diggs and Brandon Cooks. 2 big names, great pieces, veterans, leaders into this organization. That is a great pair of moves from the Cowboys. Now, they did lose Dalton Schultz, like I said. But guess what? They've got the 26th pick in this draft, and there are 2 premier first-round talent tight ends that I think could slip to the Cowboys at 26. Dalton Kincaid from Utah and Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. If the Cowboys can draft one of those guys, that's a phenomenal offense that you've got for Dak. Plenty of weapons. Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, and then one of those young tight ends. And then your defense is stocked up. You've got Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore. Then you've got Micah Parsons, the defensive player of the year from last year. Don't even get me started about Nick Bosa. That's wonderful for the Cowboys. They can compete for this division. They can compete for the conference. They can potentially compete for the Super Bowl. Big fan of what the Cowboys are doing this offseason. Next up, we've got a quarterback trying to make a comeback. Okay? This is going to be a Plizont freezing cold take, so just get ready. Cam Newton is trying to get back into the NFL. He made a video. He's announcing that he was going to be working out at Auburn's Pro Day. He did end up doing that, but he said that he was confused about why all these like randoms are getting jobs in the NFL and he's not. Let's just face the facts. Cam Newton, from what he was, has fallen off. And that's okay. I still think that he could make an impact on an NFL team. There's 3 teams that I would look at Cam Newton trying to get on. First up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now look, this is probably the least likely of the 3, but Baker Mayfield is a questionable starter at best. He's going to be in a quarterback competition. Why not throw Cam Newton into that mix? This Buccaneers team, outside of that, is pretty much ready to win. Decent offensive line, lots of weapons, and a pretty solid defense that performs extremely well in the playoffs. I think that Cam can make an impact, especially now that they could use some ups in the running game because they've lost Leonard Fournette. So, yeah, Cam Newton to the Buccaneers, big fan. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are kind of just a big question mark. We're actually going to talk about them later. But Desmond Ridder is probably not going to be that guy, and they're looking for a bridge quarterback to get them to next year's draft. I think Cam is perfect. He's not from Atlanta or anything like that, but he gives that Auburn, Georgia kind of vibe, and I think that the Falcons fans can get behind him for at least a season. But last but not least, this is an absolute dark horse. I think Cam Newton should go to the Washington Commanders. Number one, he's got massive ties to Ron Rivera, the head coach for the Commanders. They're in an absolute state of limbo right now with Dan Snyder trying to sell the team. Cam Newton could definitely make an impact because that Commanders defense is ready to play. I really do think that they can get after it. Probably not going to compete for first in the division, but with Cam Newton, I genuinely think that they could compete for a wild card spot. Now, speaking of the Commanders, Dan Snyder is trying to sell the team, and as far as I understand, it's going disastrously. Okay, him and his wife have taken all of their stuff out of the Commanders' executive office. It's pretty clear that the team is going to be sold. He's blocked Jeff Bezos from trying to bid on it, but the NFL needs to do whatever they can to make sure that this sale happens. Okay, this is a flagship franchise for the NFL, gained so much popularity in the 80s and 90s. They have not been relevant since. I definitely think that Dan Snyder is trying to do everything in his power to not purposely mess up the Commanders, but not give them the opportunity to win now because he wants to see whoever owns the team next to be embarrassed of buying this Commanders team. NFL has got to get a handle on this and make sure that the sale goes through as fast as possible. All right, and last but not least, we're going to do an awesome special up until the draft. We're about a month away from the draft. We're going to talk about every single NFL team, talk about their team needs, who else they can fill in free agency, possible trades, but most importantly, who they should be drafting. So first up on this list, we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Let's get down to some basics. They've got $24 million in cap space. They've got the 8th pick, the 44th pick, and the 75th pick. They've got some awesome young build-around pieces. They've got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell, and Jesse Bates. Phenomenal players to have around possibly a young quarterback or a young coach like Arthur Smith, who is, I think, in his second or third year. So I'm a big fan of what this Falcons team is building towards, but let's talk about their dire needs. They have dire needs at running back. They need another receiver. A 1 option would be awesome, but more likely looking at a 2 to 3 option. And they definitely need some interior defense in terms of defensive line on that front 7. Now, their intermediate needs, they need an edge rusher, a linebacker. They have to replace Deion Jones, who is one of the best middle linebackers in the league. But most importantly, on their intermediate needs, they need another quarterback. I don't think that Desmond Ridder is a franchise guy. They're going to give him that opportunity coming up in the season. But let's go over the 3 big things that they could do in the offseason. First up, signings. I think that they are not looking for huge obligations as far as contract years or contract dollars. So pass rushers like Leonard Floyd and Bud Dupree are phenomenal options for this team. They can definitely lead the charge for the pass rush as well as provide a lot of veteran leadership to a young and upcoming defense. But most importantly, let's talk about trades. I think that post-draft, the Falcons should trade for Lamar Jackson. To me, that will immediately take them from not tanking to possible playoff contention to Super Bowl contention. Lamar Jackson is an MVP, and this team with Lamar Jackson could absolutely dominate the NFC South. I think that they would be one of the best teams in the NFL, period. trading for Lamar Jackson would be awesome. You would trade away your 2024 and 2025 first-round pick, but most importantly, you would give Lamar a new home. I think that Atlanta would buy into him 1,000%. I don't think that they're willing to trade for him before the draft, just solely because that 8th pick holds some value. But let's go ahead and get into that draft. So first up with the 8th pick, I don't think any quarterbacks are going to be there. When you look at quarterbacks in the draft, you've got 4 first-round guys. I think that the first 4 picks are going to end up being quarterbacks, being the Texans, the Panthers, and the Colts. Possibly the Cardinals trading away that pick to somebody like a Washington Commanders team, and that's going to be your 4 quarterbacks gone. So you're not going to get a young QB. So now who are we looking at? I think that Jalen Carter, the Georgia defensive tackle, is going to slip in the draft and fall right into the Falcons' hands. That would be an awesome pick for the Falcons. Homegrown talent. Athens is 45 minutes away from Atlanta. Lots of fan love for him, and he would get to stay close to home. Carter is possibly the best prospect in the draft. So I'm a big fan of the Falcons picking him at 8. Moving on to the 44th pick, the Falcons really need a receiver, and there's a lot of late first, early second round talent in the wide receiver position. Now, they did get rid of Calvin Ridley last year, who didn't play because he was suspended, but an awesome player to pick up who is just like Calvin Ridley, Jordan Addison, a smaller slot guy, but an awesome get-open guy. Get-open talent is probably one of the most important things for a pocket-passing quarterback. Just look at Hunter Renfrow for the Raiders and Julian Edelman or Jordy Nelson, etc. I think that having a get-open guy is amazing for a young quarterback because it gives him the dump-down option or the check-down option. So Jordan Addison here is probably a reach. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about another receiver that they could take at the 44th pick, Tank Dell out of Houston. Extremely small guy. I think he's 5'8", but he is a playmaker. Once again, young quarterbacks and playmaking is extremely valuable. Tank Dell is an awesome take the top off the defense guy, but most importantly, he's kind of a Tyreek Hill guy. You can use him as a gadget guy, going in the backfield, throwing screens to him, so on and so forth. So I'm a big fan of the Falcons drafting either Jordan Addison or Tank Dell right here in this draft. Last but not least, the last pick, the 75th pick that we're going to talk about here, when you look at the draft and talk about like the top 100 prospects, the further and further you go down this list, the less and less likely you are to be accurate. But I think that Tyjae Spears, the running back out of Tulane, is a great option for the Falcons here. Cordero Patterson is a good running back, but he is getting older and older. I don't know if he is ready for another season of being the primary bell cow back. He had a couple of injuries last season. So getting a young guy like Tyjae Spears is an awesome way to go. He's a great yards per carry, yards after catch running back, and he's a great gadget guy, very similar to Cordero Patterson. You can even use him in the slot. Tulane didn't do that very often, but he is extremely versatile. So that right there is an awesome recap of where the Falcons could go. If they do half of what I've suggested, which obviously they probably won't do, but even if they do half of it, the Falcons are in great position, not for this year, but for next year, to grab that franchise quarterback and hit the ground running. That, my friends, is going to do it for this episode of Plizont's podcast. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Hit that follow button, hit that like button, leave comments or shoot us a DM on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll see you next time.